What's up, folks? Casual Dad here with just 6 hours left in the current ladder season. I did it. Oh, what a slog. I really wanted top 6% this season, so I've just been banging my head against this for the past week. Had some downtime, so it was really nice. Yeah, so rank 133 made me top 6%, and I am crossing my fingers, hopefully I stay there for the next few hours and actually do get that second copy of that Norn. Which one is that? The Norn Emissary? What are you? Assimilator. There we go. Yeah, because I need one more level to get that target acquired on there. Still not useful, but I'm trying to rank this guy up to have him actually be useful in that 400-point deck mode, just in case it does not max level your cards. If it does max level your cards, I'm all set. But still, want to earn those when I can, when they're free, so wanted to push for it and see if I could do it. Trophy rank, that was around 13.7k, and the trophy decks I used were Tyrannid, Eldari, Tau, and Chaos. Tyrannid? Let's look at them. This is the Swarmlord deck I've been using. I added in these new cards. I'm still a little bit iffy about it. It's really nice having those tools. Target acquired is really handy. Medicae keeps your hitters alive. The taunt is phenomenal to have a 4-point taunt in there that can protect even one card for even one turn. With a deck this thin, that makes a big difference. So that was a really good one. This is the one that I ranked up to the top most recently because I had a good win-loss ratio. The other decks I really did struggle with getting kind of equal parts wins and losses, so it was tough to actually rank up. Of course, I say that, and then looking at the record, I got high enough up that I can't have been losing that many games. My Tau deck, I actually ended up using Darkstrider with this one here. I just got this guy up to the base 111 damage and had some lucky matchups and then stopped playing. So this is what I got for that. And the multiple taunt drones did really help, but I did make sure I had some target acquired in there to remove some dangerous things. And then, of course, had my shield. Made sure to shuffle points around to add that shielded card, too, because you need that to hold down lane sometimes. So this was really good. Then I've got, of course, I had a lot of trouble, actually, as Lilith. She's usually my top-scoring card, or my top-scoring warlord, my favorite deck to play, and is really good against some matchups, especially with this toolbox, where you've got all those precision shots that shoot on drop, you've got that target acquired, you've got that Medicae. And I've got all these cards leveled pretty high up to where they're very good and do their jobs. But I was really struggling against... who really gave me trouble? I hit a lot of... What's his face? Oh, man. I know this. Akaran. I hit a lot of Akaran decks. When you push to the top 6%, you hit some extremely challenging Akaran decks. And you are always running against a clock. I usually ended up trading more cards that I wanted to take things down. It was usually Tigurius and Y'all. And then by the time you get to Akaran himself, the fact that he also has shields pushes him just a little bit over the top to where you can completely dominate that deck and still lose because you have to kill Akaran like 6 times. Because you have to take down usually 3 shields, then you have to get him down to... You actually have to take down his significant hit points, and then you have to kill him a second time. So it's... very difficult to remove that guy. Yeah, so that was really held down Lilith. I also hit a bunch of Rakarth decks. Same thing. It's enough of a wall that's hard to get through. And then also some really scary, basically max level Mozrog decks. So it was good to see warlords that I expect to see, or that I usually talk up as being really powerful, actually be the sticking points on that one. But held me down this season. I was pushing to get to 3.6k with Lilith and ended up having her, I think, in 3rd place with barely 3.3. Still nothing to sneeze at, but yeah, not as well as I hope to do. And then pulling up my last rank was Chaos, and this was a cool one because I actually finally had some success with the man himself. Okay, let's say there we go. Yeah, Ahriman. Now I really like Ahriman's story and his lore, and so I really enjoy playing as him. I think he's a super cool character, and I've been pretty disappointed with him in Warhammer combat cards, because I don't think his ability is really that great, and his stats aren't really that great, and I've really had trouble winning with him. But this is the deck I put together that was very successful and got me to that almost 3.4k, and really held its own against a lot of different, very scary decks. So of course, your linchpin is always going to be the Lord of Change. He's a very challenging card to build around because he's so expensive, and he's got a ton of hit points, and even at this level he's got that regen, but he is a card that can fall very quickly. Hits target acquired, you got him across from a long strike. Yeah, really can die. And so you need to keep that alive, so you need that Medicae. But then also you need to hold down those adjacent lanes so he's not getting shot from different angles at different times. And that's where these 2 fear cards really came in handy. This guy here, I've got him to the point where he's got that 3rd level fear and he's got a ton of hit points. So he really takes ages to bring down. And he's also got the psychic attack. So he is contributing to that psychic damage and that Brotherhood of Psychers. So he does contribute to Ahriman himself. So if Ahriman's on the board with the Fly Lord Berserk and the Lord of Change, he's got his max level Brotherhood of Psychers, which does, excuse me, what do they call this thing? Psychic Link. So his max level Psychic Link, so he can take down enemy warlords more effectively. So I did some other tweaks with Taunt, with some other cards that had shields. I've played with this where you get more durability, but losing more Psychers in the deck is a problem. So that was a really key piece. This guy really is just in here to be a cheap fear, which I really did his job. He's great for 22 points. And then this guy, absolutely love it. This card is amazing. For 13 points, this guy's incredible. This is level 3, and he was one of the key cards in my 3.3k deck. So when I get this guy up to here, all bets are off. And of course, he's common, or he's rare, excuse me. So, but still, his stats don't level up dramatically because they start so low. But that regen with those hit points for that cost, also being a Psyker and contributing to all the same ways I said about Zark the Flyborn, terrific piece. So this, I was really proud of this deck. I tried it out just out of, honestly, desperation, because I got down to like 2.8 trophies when I had been at 3.2. And it's like, what am I doing? Come on, Ahriman, save a butt. And it did, and it was very effective for a while. So I wanted to make sure to shout that out. Just to go ahead and talk about it, because it's the end of the season, this is where we're at. If you're still banging your head against the PvP, of course, the #1 best warlord for this, I had fun with this one. The #1 best warlord for this is going to be this dirty cheater, Helbrecht, especially because he does give you the bonus. So Space Marines and Helbrecht will give you a max bonus deck where you can actually get the free copies of the free card. So very strong piece. But you can see I was mucking around with Tyranids. I will say also Akaran is a really strong piece to run. I saw a lot of melee Akarans, but you can do a Psychic or a ranged Akaran. It does the trick. I had 0 luck with Chaos. I tried Abaddon because I really like Abaddon. But then the free bonus cards with him are really bad. And building a deck around them is worse. So that didn't go well at all. Yeah, I also tried Azrael. That didn't work either. I really had a hard time. I tried some Eldrad. He was okay. This was not bad, being able to run this, but every time I ran him, I had a really terrible matchup with something weird. Like I would hit Uthar the Destined, and he would just completely demolish my expensive cards. So didn't do all that well, but this was a fun deck to play. And it was one of the decks I could fill up to the 400 points, so I really enjoyed that. I will say that Vol, if you're really struggling and you have Vol, I didn't run her at all in PvP, but I did play a game against a Vol that was mostly Fear, Taunt, and it was ranged heavy, with Fear and Taunt. Let me look at those cards. It's like one of the key cards you want in there is this guy. This guy with Vol, like you cannot remove this dude, and he's got that Inspiring Presence, and he's got a really good ranged attack. Like he will live for the entire game, and buff up all your other cards while he does it. And then of course these two are really strong. It's crazy. Synced PvP was nuts, so that's the thing. So not gonna make this video too long. Just wanted to kind of talk it up, and I will probably do one soon because the next season is coming out. And if I saw correctly, we're going to have some balance changes, and I believe they are officially rolling out that 400 deck point mode. So I'll certainly be playing that a bit. And then maybe talk about this campaign while we're at it. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, good times. I enjoyed the season a lot. I really had fun playing, even though it was a slog at the end. Feels like the game is in a really fun spot, and I saw all kinds of warlords. The single highest ranked deck I saw playing through this, and I'm not going to play any games because I do not want to risk that top 6% slot. But yeah, the single highest ranked deck that I saw was this guy. And it wasn't with these. What did he have? It was Wartsnaga, and he had a very high level, no surprise at all, this guy. I believe it was level, yeah, okay. It was level 7 at least. Maybe even more. It might have been up in this range, but this thing, you get a couple shields on this thing with that, like the 400 dead points. It was probably about here. So it took a while to clear the shields off it. It was hitting me crazy hard. I was able to bring it down, but only because it's really easy to play around. But if you're playing this deck for your latter games, Wartsnag is a really, really good piece because you can just feed the cards you want to die in the places where they're going to get taken out. So super strong. It was cool to see that. So it was this guy. He had the red Gobbo, so he had the legendary one that's the Endless Taunt, which is a really good piece in this. he had basically all these endless cards, and then he also had this guy in here for the extra shields, just to kind of guarantee that the cards that are dying first are the ones you want to die first. And then I believe he also had... I would have to play with the points on this one. You know what? Why not? Let's see it. I can rebuild this deck. I'm going to put in the cards that I remember seeing. I believe that was in there. Pretty sure I saw Smirk It. Pretty sure this guy was in here. I think this guy was in here, and this guy was in here, and let's see what else fits. And then I absolutely know this and this were in there, because when I saw the ranking on this thing, I was like, oh god. So I think it was this, and then also had that legendary Red Gobbo in there for the Endless Taunt too. So it is chock full of cards that will give you the bonus, so it's a full deck, but still has tons of cards that will give you that bonus, and the Endless cards even will benefit from those bonuses too. And combining the bonus with Inspiring Presence makes for some utterly devastating attacks, where like this guy left unchecked for a bit with him on the table would just wipe entire boards every turn. So I see how it was as high rated as it was, and I was very pleased that I beat it. But if I'd lost to it, I would have lost like 3 trophies because it was so high ranked. It was crazy. Another really, really scary one I saw was, let me throw the 21 point in there just to have it. Yeah, we'll throw it in there. Why not? That's a terrible card. What am I doing? Or at least mine's not great at that level. Yeah, we'll throw it. It's mostly rage. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, God. And the Mozrog deck I saw had max level cards. It had this guy, it had this guy, and then just Medicae up the wazoo. And it was, they had their gold primary traits. I don't think the secondary were gold. Yeah, I want to say it was around this level. So it was a monstrosity, especially with Mozrog just healing like crazy the whole time. Oof. Ooh, that was bad. That was a rough game. So that was one of those games where I just literally could not kill stuff fast enough to get it out of the way. And I dealt this thing, I think, 500 damage, and it still ended up on the table. Because it was about here, that level of hit points dropped 2 Medicae turn 1, and then it was melee hitting with this thing, and I just could not stop it. So, whew, boy, that was, yeah, tough matchup. Mostly, it was the usual suspect. So you got those Acheron decks, you got with Tigurius, Njal, and then whatever else you want to fill with. I really didn't see Badrick up there, which was interesting. I also didn't see any Greyfax. And I'm going to touch on this again more later, but let's go ahead and actually look at Greyfax's new ability now that she's been balance changed. We've all been kind of waiting for some sort of Greyfax nerf for campaigns for a long time, especially synced PvP. This one I think is a little bit more than folks were expecting, which is kind of good. It means that the developers are really listening to feedback, really want to rework her for the future of the game, but then also get rid of that Greyfax wall that really holds up new players. So really appreciated seeing that. Good job, team. But the changed her ability now, it used to be a set number of points, but now it's every 5% unused deck points gives a 5% buff to all stats. So that's attack stats and your health stats when it's deployed up to a maximum of 75%. One key thing I really like about this is it's just a flat number. So if you don't spend, no, 5%. Okay, shoot. I was reading that wrong. Because yeah, the percent makes the math even harder than it was before. Before it was a set number of points unspent would then give you the bonus, which obviously was just completely absurd in 400 deck point games. So this is better, but it does make the math quite a bit harder. So I'm going to do another Greyfax review where I set out the math and say this is the number of points you need to leave unspent at each individual place, and then we'll go from there. So I do like the 1-to-1 where 5% unspent points is 5% buff. I don't love that the 5% that it's a percent of points. You're going to be sort of scratching your head every single time you build a deck. You're like, is this enough? But yeah, I do still kind of like it because it still is pretty similar to what it was before. Just takes a little bit more thinking about it. And the whole same thing still hold true, where you still want high health and high attack stats because it's a percent buff. Always was a percent buff. So to benefit from the buff the most, you want things that already have high base so that the percent will give them a more dramatic bonus. Should be obvious, but that's just something to go ahead and bring up. So you probably want cards that have fewer attack stats, not 3. You want 1 or 2, so they have high numbers to start, so the bonus is significant. And usually some advantageous stat, like Regen or Fear or Berserk is a good one, or Furious Charge or Precision Shot, so they get the most out of those bonus points, because you're still leaving points on the table. So, yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about that more in a bit. This has been a rambling video. Happy to be back. Hopefully this is helpful, and we'll talk again soon.